Welcome to Second Take, the show that focuses on the issues behind the news. While South Africa has vast mineral resources, uncertainty created by its new mineral regulatory regime is undermining investor confidence. The International Bar Association's Peter Leon says that this is reducing South Africa's mining industry to a stunted giant. Mining Weekly editor Martin Creamer joins me in studio to explain this viewpoint. Welcome to Second Take, Martin.
Thanks, Shannon.
What has brought about Leon's comments to say that the mining industry is being reduced to a stunted giant?
You know, we've got to throw our minds back to South Africa pre-1994 when the private sector owned those mineral rights. We were the odd ones out. If you went to Canada or you went to Australia or you went to other countries, the state was the custodian of the mineral rights. So when Nelson Mandela brought in democracy in 1994, they said we're going to have to come into line with the other countries in the world and the state must be the custodian of these mineral rights, and that drew applause from around the world. I used to attend conferences outside the country, and South Africa came in for incredible praise because they said it now gave an opportunity for people to invest in mining. But as you attended conferences down the line, it suddenly turned, because although in principle it is excellent to have the state manage the resources, they have to do it equitably, otherwise there are a howl of protests. And people can compare. You know, South Africa is just one country in 52 countries in Africa. So there's a patchwork of countries. They go from one to the other and they compare. And a lot of applause started to come in for other African countries and a lot of negative vibes for South Africa. So it was against that background now we have less and less certainty for investors, so therefore less and less investment.
So which African countries are then ahead of South Africa in terms of mining law?
We rely on the Fraser Institute to actually do that assessment. The Fraser Institute has for several years now decided to create a hierarchy and a pecking order of which countries are best, so that investors sort of get an idea of what regulatory regimes are favourable to investment. And unfortunately South Africa has been slipping further and further down on this, I think, from 27th position to 49th position now. So we are starting to fall in the lowest rung of hell. You know, we're starting to associate there with Zimbabwe and with the Democratic Republic of Congo, which probably has more uncertainty than most. So that's a very bad sign that the outside world is looking upon us as an uncertain investment destination, and that measure is the recognized measure. So people, you can't start attacking it and saying, well, you know, there's something askew with this. It's actually what people will take a cue from before they invest. So South Africa, you know, going down this, we can start looking at other countries. And what is being highlighted by Peter Leon in Madrid this week when he had this massive big conference, world mining authorities looking at what is a good investment destination. He said, look at Ghana. You know, Ghana has come up in the stakes in the Fraser Institute. It's also, a lot of people are looking at gold at the moment, so that's a gold destination. So it's getting favourable reports. Botswana, I mean, everywhere I go, you know, when I go to an international conference, they always praise Botswana. So Botswana could be a model that we could follow. It's right next door. And now even Nigeria is getting more favourable comments because of the way they've depoliticized the issue of mining rights. And I think they based it on Chile, where it is totally depoliticized. The courts have to decide. So, you know, it depends how far you want to go.
So what could we then learn from these countries that are ahead of us?
The thing to learn is that if you do certain things, it must be automatic that you get your mining license or your prospecting license. It's no good, you know, fulfilling and going through a whole series of hoops. And then as you think, well, I've now qualified automatically and transparently, you find, no, there are another 100 hoops. And these are put up at the discretion of a minister. So you've got to take the discretion out of it. You can't have different ministers doing different things, and you can't have people suddenly coming in with the extra socio-economic imperatives and maybe extra labour plans that you have to have, and adding to the situation after you feel you should have automatically applied. So the lesson to learn is take away the discretion, let it be automatic after people have done they've taken certain steps that are transparent, everybody can see, must be automatic.
So now what is government doing to streamline, for instance, the MPRDA?
Well, you know, I sat at the Indaba 2 years ago, and the then Minister of Minerals and Energy, who is now Minister of Water Affairs, Boyalwa Sanjika, she drew applause, almost thunderous applause, when she said she promises she's going to streamline the MPRDA. And the international audience was very appreciative of it. And even Peter Leon was on the stage and he said, that's fantastic news, you know. But now Peter Leon, who studies this every day, says, look, the amendment has made matters worse. So there hasn't been a streamlining. So, you know, it needs to be re-looked at, this act, because instead of it being improved and streamlined, people are now saying it's become more onerous and there's more discretion. And that is bad, you know. I mean, we can see that a lot of jobs have been lost in the mining industry. I mean, I think they reported yesterday that, you know, thousands of jobs. They put 30,000 when they spoke. The minister, the DG of the Mineral Resources Department spoke in Angola, and he said, well, we've lost a lot of mining jobs. The whole thing is that you can have socio-economic development. The state can be involved in this. It can participate. It doesn't need to withdraw completely, as we've seen in Ghana and other countries, but it needs to be predictable. And so I think it's not rocket science. You know, we could get to do this if we want to, and I think we should, because it actually damages the country quite sincerely, because you then don't have the prospect of exports, which we need, and you don't have the jobs. So, you know, those two things impact heavily in South Africa.
Thank you so much for your insight, Martin.
Great pleasure, Shannon.
Thank you. That's the show for today. Join us again next time for more insights into the happenings of the mining world.